Good day. This is the Great Basin prescribed fire and weather briefing for Monday, November 3rd. Looking at our current prescribed burn map, we have a lot of project activity going up in the western Idaho mountains and scattered across parts of Utah and eastern Nevada as well, and one here in the Sierra Front. The Sierra Front and the western and southwestern portions of Nevada are going to be a bit of a concern the next few days because of strong southwest winds downsloping with dry air ahead of an approaching storm system. That's your typical Washoe Zephyr. And with the dormant brush and lack of snow cover, there is some concern that during the peak wind events, perhaps later on Tuesday into Tuesday night, maybe even Wednesday morning, there is the possibility that an ignition could run a little bit as long as the winds are blowing. We'll see that in a second. Looking at precipitation over the past 7 days, we've had a band of wetness in northern California through the northern tier of Nevada and into parts of far northern Utah, but it has been bone dry south of there. You see the 0% of normal precipitation given by this dark red color. We go even to the last 14 days in that same area of western Nevada and much of Utah has been very dry the last 2 weeks. The flash drought index during that time period has been increasing, and this data is actually a couple of days old. It's not done every day, so I would say some of these values here along the California-Nevada border are quite a bit drier and probably extend a bit further north towards the Lake Tahoe region. We have seen snow cover diminish over the past couple of days, diminishing here. We had a lot more over the central Idaho mountains. It's kind of been pushed up into the higher terrain. Same thing in Wyoming and much of the Wasatch, and quite bare across parts of the Sierra, and that's going to play a role with some of those downslope winds. A lot of that dormant brush and leftover finer fuels or dead grass remains exposed and not under snow cover. Looking at our current fuel conditions, we focus on the Sierra Front, and you can see where the ERCs were yesterday and where they are projected to drop with the weather conditions over the next 7 days, down to well below normal levels, and that is a bit of a concern. And I should add over here, it's actually more, I stand corrected, it's actually more where they've risen on the ERC chart. So here you can see where with the moisture finally coming in, they will plummet, but in the short term, they are just a little bit below what the midsummer normals are. And we see the same thing to a similar extent also here in the southern Sierra Front. We see that the levels here are kind of elevated, and they will moisten up as we go into day 6, day 7, with precip finally making it over the Sierra Front. But in the short term, the next 2 or 3 days, we do have concerns with some of those winds. We'll get to that in a second. Satellite imagery, clear skies across the region. We see the next Pacific trough of low pressure offshore, moving into the Pacific Northwest, which has been quite wet over the past couple of weeks. That trend will continue. So the upper level map for later today, we do see the dry air mass over us. We do see the moisture moving into the Pacific Northwest and far northwest California. Dry air and increasing upper level winds will start drying things out and create at least a light to locally moderate Washoe Zephyr later today. Dispersion pretty good in most areas where the trough is affecting the region. You see the surface winds starting to pick up a little bit. Some of these oranges are sustained winds in the low to mid 20 mile per hour range. That's not gusts, just sustained wind. Humidity, parts of central and southern Nevada, low teens to low 20% range. Of course, higher up when we have some burn projects up there, it's more like 30 to 50%. So still some decent burning conditions up north. Now the transport winds, we do see some of those dark purples showing up. Those are gusts probably approaching 40 miles an hour by late this afternoon into this evening. Some breezes also picking up in the higher terrain across Utah and southwest Idaho. Mixing heights looking really good, mostly in the 3,000 to 5,000 foot range in most areas. But again, these stronger winds will be a concern over the next couple of days. Now that low pressure area, see how deep it is still well off the Pacific Northwest coast. Deep moisture, but most of that's in Northern California into the Pacific Northwest. Basically, once you get south of Reno, the air mass gets progressively drier. And again, these strong southwest winds in the upper levels play a major role. Dispersion good in all areas under the low. We still have some of those winds at the surface. Humidity still teens to low 20% range across southern and western Nevada. You can see those Washoe Zephyr winds again, some of those purples there. So this will be 30, 40 mile an hour gusts. This will be the second day in a row. So those downslope winds can cause even more dramatic drying right along the eastern slopes of the Sierra. Good overall vertical mixing. Now, on Wednesday, the core of the low pressure trough starts moving. It starts flattening a little bit, and the moisture starts kind of getting peeled apart a little bit. There's a deeper plume of moisture further off to the west, but there's a little dry wedge here. There's a little tannish shade you see here in the lee of the kind of Sierra near Carson and maybe points further south. That'll be a concern. The surface winds, you can see them here in the purple. Surface winds sustain themselves, could be 30 to 40 miles an hour, and there's a really sharp break-off between minimum RH in Reno, 47%, to still getting down. You see some of these areas in the teens further south. So be kind of a fine line. Sometimes the humidity stays kind of dry for a while longer when we have some of those winds coming in. You see the strong transport winds, though, in the brown areas. These could be gusts over 55 miles an hour to be watched as they go down slopes. So maybe by Wednesday afternoon, the humidity might start coming up. By late Tuesday into Wednesday morning, those winds are going to howl downslope all night long. So that's a concern. It's 1 to 3 day precipitation. There will be precipitation spilling over. This is from Monday morning through Thursday morning. So from late Wednesday to Thursday, we should see some precipitation, some higher humidity spill across. But before that, it'll be a concern with the moisture. So by Thursday, big plume atmospheric river coming into Northern California, starting to spill into Northwest Nevada. The drier air and breezy, still focused in the eastern Great Basin and up into Idaho. But this moisture will push across much of the northern half of the geographic area late Thursday into Friday with light to locally moderate precipitation, basically north of Highway 50. And then high pressure starts building back in as we go into the weekend, as we dry things out and warm things up, also with increasing stagnation, see poor air quality across many areas. The day to 4-5 precipitation, we'll see. This could be drawn a bit further south based on latest computer model runs. Day 6 and 7, that next storm system moves on shore. So this is the 7-day total, and I would say some of this moisture here across northern Nevada could be a little bit heavier, could be a little bit further eastwards and southwards as well. The model solutions do differ, so we'll have to see how that resolves itself. But the 8 to 14-day outlook, as we go into November 10th through the 16th, shows a trend towards cooler temperatures across much of the western Great Basin. The warmth starts shifting further to the country's midsection. We do see a trend towards wetter weather after a very long dry period across much of the region as well. So kind of a pattern shift possibly underway towards wetter conditions for our area. This concludes our briefing. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday. Have a great day.